Hello, today we are going to learn a little bit about using technology to help us put together linear models. So our assignment for today, if you're watching this video, the important thing is to make sure you find this assignment here. If this video is more than a year old, the date may not match, but you want to find an assignment about using a graphing calculator to run linear regressions and create a linear model. Okay, so in order to do this assignment, I want to do kind of a quick summary to give you the broad idea behind why we're doing what we're doing today and how we normally would do it. And the first thing is, let's say we have, what we know how to do is if we have a table of data, we know how to figure out what line models that. So let me give you a quick example. Like, let's just say we have something like this. As a matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do. Well, what I'm going to do first is create a table using a linear equation or a model. And then we're going to go in reverse because that's really what we want to do. So everybody at this point should know from Algebra 1, right, that your generic equation for a linear equation is going to be in this form right here, y equals mx plus b. And so now I'm going to come up with a specific example. So I'm just going to make something up. So let's just say we have y equals 2x plus 10, right? And at this point, we should know that the m is the slope, or the 2, multiplied the number multiplied by the x, and that the constant by itself is the b, or the y-intercept. So what we did earlier this trimester is we took some values from a table of like x and y's, right? And we were able to put together and come up with this equation. Well, let's go in reverse and kind of repeat that. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to come up with values of x. Let's just start with, I think 0 is a real nice one, right? So we put in 0 for the x. If we did that, we would get 2 times 0 plus 10. So that would be just 10, right? Okay, so we'd get a y value. Let's say we do something, for example, like a 2 for our x. Then we get 2 times 2, right? Putting it in here. Plus 10, and what is that? That's 4 plus 10, that's 14. And I'll do one more value. Let's say I put in a 5 for the x. Okay, I would get 2 times 5, which is 10, 10 plus 10, which is 20, okay? So all I'm doing is I'm taking values of x over here from this column, and I'm putting them in for, or substituting them in for x to get the value of y, okay? So hopefully that's something that you understand. What we've done earlier is we kind of reviewed the process of going in the other direction. How do we get table values and come up with the equation? Let's pretend we don't know this equation here. Well, real quick, what we do is we find the slope, right? And that is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we would get something, say, for example, like, let me use the y's, let me use 20 minus 14, right? And then 5 minus 2 for the x's, so I'd get 6 over 3, so I'd get a slope of 2, right? And that checks out over here. And then the next thing I do, let's just say we don't know that this 0 is 10. Let's say we don't know that, okay? Because obviously, if we do know that, that would be the y. It should be 10 because that's the value when x is 0. That's, if you've got the equation, it's always easy to find the x-intercept by plugging in 0 there. Okay, so the next thing is, how do we find the y-intercept? Well, we come back over here, we take y equals mx plus b, right? And what we do realize is that we've got a value, we've got the slope first of all, so we can put that right there, so we get our 2, and then we also have a value of x, so I'm going to take this x of 2, and I'm going to plug it right here. I'm getting that from over here, and then plus b. That's what we need, is we need the b, because at this point we don't know b's 10, for example, we're going to pretend. But we also have a value of y that goes with the 2, right, which is 14, okay? So 14 equals 4 plus b minus 4 minus 4. 10 is equal to our b. That's our y-intercept, and that checks out. All right, so I did a review. Hopefully this is something that you say, yeah, I know how to do this. I've done it before. But if not, I wanted to give you a background, because what we're going to do today is we're going to use technology to do all this stuff here for us, plug the values of x and y that we have right here, and it's going to basically spit out this equation right here. So I'm going to show you real quick. Okay, so one thing you want to do is, there's a few things here. Number one, this is the assignment. You're already watching the video. I need to put the link for that. But what we're going to do first is I want to show you the calculator steps that are involved in doing what we're doing. And if you want to translate, this is a Word document, you should be able to translate it, but if not, I'll get that set up. But these are the steps if you've got a graphing calculator that would allow you to enter in table values. And let me clean this up a little bit. So again, what this would allow us to do is to get values of some independent variable x and some dependent variable y, plug it into a calculator, and basically get it to spit out or calculate this equation without us having to go through and determine the slope or that, which of course we can do. And you might think, well, why? That's not that hard. We can do it in a minute or two. But for our next assignment today, things are not always going to be perfectly linear all the way through the data. And when you have that, if you pick the wrong data points, it may give you an equation that's not consistent for the best line fit. So let's get this information right here. The next thing we're going to do is you can pick up a calculator on the desk or graphing calculators and use those. It's probably easier. But there's also a backup. There's a online graphing calculator, and that's what I'm actually going to use so I can show you what we're doing. Okay, so this is basically your graphing calculator. Let me make it full screen. Here we go. Okay, so there's your graphing calculator. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear out. We got to set up the diagnostic the right way. So let me go back. So we're going to do this just one time, okay? Only once. Once you get it set up, you're good to go. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit second 0. So let me go back to my calculator. And by the way, let me make it smaller. For you guys, that's second and then 0. So let me show you over here. Close that. Second 0. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to where it says diagnostic on. Again, we only have to do it once. So we're going to use our scroll, which for you guys is going to be this button right here. Okay, keep going. Almost there. Okay, and then you're going to get the diagnostic on, and then you're going to hit enter, and then enter until it says done. So I'm going to go enter, and then enter again twice. Done. Okay, so we're good to go. You'll have to do that once. Okay, the next step is now what we're going to do is we're going to enter in the data from over here. Okay, so that's the next step that we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see how these brackets are here. That's telling you those are the keys you hit. So the commands are stat and 1. We're going to hit stat and 1. So let me go back to my calculator. Stat, where did you go? Stat 1. And then you see these columns here? That's where you enter in the data. So L1 is going to be like the table for the X values. L2 is for the Y values. So we need to make sure it says L1 or L2. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure there's no data in there. If there is, we have to go up to the top to clear it. Okay, so I can use the arrow key to the L1 or the column header, and I'm going to hit clear and enter. But I didn't need to do it. Let's say for example there was some data in there. 5 enter, 6 enter. But I want to clear it all at once because what if there's 20 values? I'm going to go clear, enter, and it clears it out. So make sure that these two columns are clear. So now we're ready to enter in the data. Or again, remember, L1 is like the X. So the X values are 2 and 5. So let me go back to 2, enter, 5, enter. And the X values are 14 and 20. So we're going to go to this other column, use my arrow key. I'm going to go 14, enter, 20, enter. Okay, good. So those two data values are there. Usually there's going to be a lot more data, right? But I'm just giving you an example. So what do we do next to figure out the equation that models or goes through that data? Okay, so I've already showed you how to clear it out. I've showed you how to enter in the data, and I've done that. Now we're going to perform the linear regression. This is a process that gives us the equation that models the data. So we go stat. Let's see where it is. It's going to be stat. And this line here, and then we're going to scroll to 4, which is linear regression abbreviation, and hit enter. We're going to hit enter again, highlight, calculate, enter. So a few things. Let me go through it again. We're going to go to stat. We're going to go to where it says calc. and then we're going to scroll down to 4, linear regression right here, enter, okay, and then we need to scroll down here, enter, and we get a result. Now, what result do we get? Well, it's basically telling us that it's running a regression in the form of y equals ax plus b. Now, that's the linear form, but they're using a instead of m. We know y equals mx plus b, but this a is the same as m. Now, what they're telling us is, based upon those numbers, the a, or the slope, remember that's the m that we're used to, is 2. And hey, wasn't that the slope we came up with right here, right? Perfect. And the next thing they're telling us is the b, which is the same as the y equals mx plus b, where the y-intercept is 10. Hey, perfect. That matches up, and we've got our equation that models the data the best. Okay, so that's what we can do to basically get the equation. And then we can use that equation to get other values. So again, the summary of the results are A is the slope, and B is the y-intercept. So if our A, of course, and these are different numbers, but if it gives you the number like A, for example, another example is 4, and B is 8, your equation would be y equals 4x plus 8. That would model the data. Again, this is a different example. All right, with the last 4 minutes I have, I'm going to show you how to do today's assignment. Okay, so today's assignment looks like this, and what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video, which you're doing right now, and basically use the data in this table, and there's going to be 5 sets of it for practice, but we're going to put the data here and run it through the process I just got done explaining to you, and then based upon that, we're going to answer the following questions, okay? Make sure you round your answers to the nearest 10th, okay, when you enter it in. Okay, so let me get my graphing calculator. Okay, so again, I'm going to go through and I'm going to hit, I want to get this data right here, and I'm going to go stat. Okay, it's hard to see this. And I'm going to go 1, so I can enter in the data. So I'm going to enter in 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. I won't make you watch all of it so I can save the time. And then I'm going to go to column 2. Oops. Okay, so 1 was 15, so I'm going to type in 15 and then enter. So I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but basically 115. I'm going to put them all in and I'm going to come back. So if you want to do, you should follow along and do this at the same time. Okay, so I've entered all my data, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger in the screen. Now, first thing I'll say is this: make sure you confirm that you entered in all the correct data in both columns, because the most common mistake students make is by entering wrong data, and then it ends up screwing up the results. Okay, so what's the next thing we're going to do? Now, let me make this smaller. We're going to do the regression. So we're going to go stat, calc, 4, 1, 2, 3, enter. Okay, scroll down here, enter. Okay, and there we go. So we get this particular equation. There's a reason that the numbers are not nice and neat, but anyway, for now, just let's see that that's what we get. Now we're going to answer the questions in the exercise. Okay, the first question is, what is the slope of the model? Well, the slope is going to be A, 1.678. What I would say is round to the nearest hundredth when you do this. So I would say 1.68. 1.68. Okay. The y-intercept is the B, 11 again, nearest hundredth, 11.27. 26 would be okay, but 0.27. Okay, so that's the y-intercept. Remember, the equation is y equals mx plus b, right? So y equals, the m is the slope, right? So that's 1.68 x plus, and this is the y-intercept, 11.27. Okay, and so the next thing, now we're going to use our model to predict what y will be when x is 24. We're going to put a 24 right there. Okay, I'm going to do this kind of quick. So basically it says 1.68 times 24 plus 11.27. If I put that in my calculator, I get 51.59, which is 51.6. Okay, finally, number 5. Okay, I have 10 seconds, but basically you got to figure out what value of x gives you a value of 55. You solve for x, And if you want to pause, here's a solution. If you want to go ahead and pause it and check it out, go ahead. And that's it, guys.